Alright, so we're back with the third part of the video for this evening. I have on the grill right now, finishing up some Italian grilled chicken that is just seasoned with Italian dressing and some Italian seasoning. Those two, throw them in a bag together for about 3 to 4 hours. The longer you let it sit, the better off it's going to be. Okay, so I'm going to bring those in here in just a minute, and I'm going to take one of the chicken breasts and dice it up and then put it in with my my pasta sauce and my spaghetti squash from earlier. Now then, what I'm going to be having this evening is I'm going to have two of those chicken breasts that I was on the Italian with the Italian seasoning on them, with some green beans, yellow squash, and half of a tomato. So that will be my dinner here this evening. And then also I want to show you what I got going on back here, and we are going to be cooking this for the rest of this week. This right here is just it's chicken breast seasoned with Mrs. Dash Fiesta Lime seasoning. Then back in the corner, back there, we have some black beans, white corn, red onions, tomatoes, a lime, avocado, and some cilantro. So pretty much what we're going to do with all of that stuff is we are going to cut it all up and put it all into a bowl, and that is to be served cold. So that can be kind of tricky if you're trying to prep out your meals for a week in advance. So, because obviously you don't want to eat your chicken cold, so you'd have to put them in two separate containers. But believe me, it's worth it, because that mixture right there, that is so good. Those 5 or 6 ingredients all thrown together with some lime juice and cilantro, it's really good, really good. So you'll be glad that you took the time to separate those containers. I'm gonna fire up my oven or the stovetop here. Let that heat up for just a minute. I'll be putting my green beans in there with just a few onions. And then in the green beans, I am also going to take just a tad bit of this Italian dressing and throw in there with it, just to give it some extra flavor. I'm going to do the same thing with the squash and the tomatoes as well. So give me 1 second. I'm going to go grab the chicken off the grill. That's finishing up. Alright, so those are finished, and I'm going to replace it with the Fiesta Lime chicken. Be right back. Forgot my seasoning. Alright, and we're back. Drop the green beans in there, along with the onions. Just separating these onions a little bit. Alright, so I'm going to take my chicken breast here and slice that up and throw it in my spaghetti squash and the red sauce. So just get that cubed up a little bit. Perfect. Good to go. And I'm going to take half of another one and just use that half in there as well. Perfect. You know what, that didn't turn out to be as much as what I thought it was, so let's go ahead and use the other. We'll use both of those. And that should give me somewhere around 6 to 8 ounces of chicken breast, which is what I'm looking for. And in case you're wondering why I use 2 different cutting boards there, whenever I was in high school, I worked at a deli in Seymour, downtown there, and kind of taught me the importance of not cross-contaminating. So I use a lot of, especially whenever I'm cooking with meats, I use 2 different cutting boards to separate my foods. I want to show you what my grilled chicken finished like. So finished product on the grilled chicken, and it looks good. Alright, and the grilled chicken with the spaghetti squash and pasta sauce. That's going to be a good meal later on. Alright, so I'm going to grab another skillet, get my tomatoes and my squash started. And again, just a little olive oil brushing the bottom of my pan. Not much at all. As you can see, you can barely see it in there. Alright, and squash is going down. A little bit of Italian seasoning in both of these here. Perfect. Let's start chopping up those tomatoes. Before I do that, I'm going to sharpen my knife real quick. I like to have a good sharp knife. There we go. Alright, good. And that'll really cut those tomatoes a little bit easier. Perfect. Excellent. Alright, so now I'm going to start mixing up that Mexican concoction that I was talking about earlier with the black beans, corn, cilantro, avocado. So whenever we do this, we want to rinse off our black beans, get as much as the stuff off of there as what we can, so that we don't have a whole lot of juices sitting in the bottom of our bowl whenever we go to open it up for the second time. It's about time for a new can opener. This thing doesn't want to cooperate very well. I have to take a couple goes at it. So, with that being said, grab my strainer over the sink, throw them in there, swoosh them around a little bit, take the water, just wash everything off. Good, and let that set for a minute while I'm getting everything else good to go. I'm going to do the same thing with the corn here in just 1 minute. Alright, so the black beans are going, just put them large mixing bowl, doing the same thing with the corn. Just get all the stuff off of it. And let that sit. Get those mixed around a little bit. Those are about done. Perfect. Switch my burner. Sounds good and hot. Good. Alright, so let's start chopping the rest of this stuff up. Now for this Mexican concoction back here, I like to get my tomatoes relatively small. So I like to have them, try to have the chunks about the same size as what the black beans and the corn is. Give everything a nice, good, even consistency. As you probably noticed earlier, I had 2 tomatoes sitting out. I don't know if I'll use both of them. I may only use 1.5. I'll just have to wait and see once I get everything put in the bowl and see how it looks. Just want to try to make sure that everything looks nice and even there. I'm going to take my lime, just cut it in half, and squeeze the juice out of 1/2 of that in there. And also, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that lime, I'm going to turn it inside out. Okay, and then I'm just going to take my fingers and kind of scrape all the pulp out of the inside of that lime and really give it a good lime flavor. All right, perfect. Got a lot going on here at one time. Squash is getting to be done. Let's throw those tomatoes in there with it. Oh yeah, good. Alright, so just a little bit of Italian seasoning in both of those dishes there. Just a tad bit. Good. Oh, that was a little more than I wanted. Oh well. Very good. Alright, so we're gonna let that kind of cook out of there a little bit, and then as soon as that's done, that'll be ready to eat. Alright, so let's go ahead and continue cutting up our onions for our bowl back here. Get everything nice and even. Turn that down and we're good. Throw those in there. Take our tomatoes and let what's left of the onions there, just scrape everything in there. Alright, good. And add the corn. This stuff actually gets better the longer that it sits. The more that lime can sit in there and kind of really sink into those other foods, the better it starts to taste. So, all right, everything's pretty well at a standstill here. And I'm going to step outside, check on my chicken. I'll be right back. Ah, man, one of the worst things just happened. I ran out of gas. Damn it. Okay, so I'm going to have to continue cooking my chicken in the skillet in here. So let's free up some space here. And that sucks. So with that being said, we'll get that on to plan B. I always tell myself the next time I invest in a grill, I will buy one that has one of the gas gauges on it, so you can tell how much gas you have left in your tank. I really hate it whenever that happens. So all I'm doing now is I'm cutting up my green onions to go in my bowl back here, and drop those down in there. And good. Okay, so now I'm going to cut up my avocado. Now then, whenever you buy an avocado for this dish, you want to make sure that you get one that is as firm as possible, okay? Because you do not want to have a mushy avocado sitting in that bowl back there. So then what I'll do is I'll just take a spoon and I'll carve out the inside of one of those halves. Flip it down, and then you want to get the big seed out of the middle of that, and that can be tricky sometimes. Just pop it out. Good. And again, we're just going to carve out the inside. Alright, so let's drop these chickens in there since I ran out of gas. Oh, that was not in the plan there. That really sucks. Oh well. So just chopping up the avocado now. Very good. Alright, so now it's time to add the cilantro to that bowl. Cilantro can have a bit of a kick to it, so if you don't like very much kick, then don't add very much. But I like quite a bit of a kick, so I'm going to give it a decent amount of cilantro there.